I just am trying to get a gauge. I know Dillon Gabriel is a good quarterback. I'm just trying to get a gauge on what my expectations should be about his transition to Oklahoma football, considering the standard. You can make an argument this has been the best position at quarterback in college football over the last 7 or 8 years. Oklahoma has produced the best quarterbacks, player to player to player to player, than anybody. That can be argued. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk argument. I'm saying it can be argued from Mayfield to Murray to Hurts to Radler to Williams. It's been stellar. That Dillon Gabriel, I know that he's a good player, but I don't know that he's that kind of player. We shall see. Maybe he doesn't need to be that kind of player. But there's a level of pressure on him and a level of expectation because of not necessarily anyone thinking that he's a generational kind of player, but those are the kind of players he's following.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Mark. I think it'll be interesting. I think when you look at him physically and the measurables, there's a reason why he went to UCF versus a Power 5 program. But I think at the same time, you look at guys like a Baker Mayfield is a perfect example, who was a guy that was not highly recruited. Obviously, his story is well documented, but got better and better, was just average at Texas Tech, and then got much better when he was at Oklahoma. The other guys are all different in terms of they were all highly recruited kids. Kyler Murray was highly recruited, Jalen Hurts, Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, all of them were very, very highly recruited. So I think it's very interesting when you pull a guy, and we'd have to go look at and do some of the stats. When you have a Power 5 quarterback moving to, or a non-Power 5 quarterback moving to the Power 5 conference, just to see what the difference is in terms of what the success rate was versus they're moving on to a Power 5 school. But no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of pressure on that position at the University of Oklahoma to excel at the quarterback position, because they've got there's to your point, there's a lot of and not just the last 7 or 8 years. You've got Sam Bradford, you've got Jason White, you've got Josh Heupel, and then you've got all the wishbone quarterbacks that they had even previous to that. So yeah, it's a position of I know there's a lot of teams that throw out the QBU moniker, but I think it's one of those that certainly fits at the University of Oklahoma, at least over the last 15 to 20 years. But how he's able to adjust to kind of the speed and the athleticism at the Power 5 level versus the non-Power 5 of the American will be interesting. I think the one thing that you think about, Mark, is looking at but on the other side, just being the devil's advocate here, how big of a difference is the American Conference from a defensive perspective versus the Big 12 Conference from a defensive perspective? Certainly, it's a step up in terms of athletes and all of that, and all of that you think about, but it's not as significant as if you were looking. I don't know if you're going from the Sun Belt Conference to the SEC per se. So I think that's something that's interesting to kind of take into consideration as well.